For years, Simon Cowell was untouchable. He built pop superstars, crushed egos with a single sentence, and became the face of talent shows around the world. But what no one saw coming was the personal battle that would shake him to his core. Behind the cameras and fame, Simon was hiding heartbreak, shocking tragedies, and health scares that changed his life forever. And now, with rumors of retirement and whispers of family struggles, fans are wondering, has Simon finally reached his breaking point? Simon Cowell wasn't just another TV personality. He was the kingmaker. From American Idol to Britain's Got Talent, his blunt honesty created stars like One Direction, Leona Lewis, and Kelly Clarkson. For decades, he seemed unstoppable, wealthy, powerful, and always in control. But success came at a price. Simon's sharp tongue made him one of the most controversial figures in television, feared by contestants and adored by audiences. He was ruthless on stage, but in real life, cracks were beginning to show. And soon, those cracks would turn into full-blown breakdowns that no one expected. For years, Simon gave the world the image of a man who could handle anything. But in 2014, when his son Eric was born, everything changed. At first, Simon embraced fatherhood with the same confidence he carried on stage. Yet, by the time Eric was just 4 years old, whispers began to circulate. Behind the scenes, doctors confirmed that Eric faced developmental challenges, something Simon quietly acknowledged but rarely spoke about in public. Fans speculated endlessly. Some claimed it was a rare neurological condition, others suggested different possibilities, but Simon never confirmed the rumors. What insiders revealed, though, was that Eric had been diagnosed with a global developmental delay, a condition that slows a child's ability to reach certain milestones. For Simon, it wasn't just another challenge. It was the one thing in his life he couldn't control with money, power, or influence. This revelation shook him to his core. Friends close to Simon said that he became more protective than ever, determined to spend time with Eric no matter what it meant for his career. And while audiences were used to Simon's tough exterior, privately, he was breaking in ways he never showed on camera. But the hardest part? That wasn't even the only tragedy waiting for him. Just as Simon was adjusting to his son's diagnosis, another devastating blow struck, one that reopened old wounds and left him shattered. News broke that Liam Payne, the young star Simon had helped launch with One Direction, had died in a tragic fall from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires. He was only 31. For Simon, this was more than the loss of a former contestant. Liam had been like family. Simon had watched him grow from a nervous teenager into a global superstar, and their bond had stretched far beyond the stage. When the news hit, Simon's grief spilled out publicly. On Instagram, he wrote, "I am devastated, heartbroken, and I feel empty. Every tear I have shed is a memory of you." Those words revealed just how deeply Liam's passing cut. It wasn't just the loss of an artist, it reminded Simon of his own son, of how fragile life could be, and of how quickly everything could be taken away. Friends said Simon barely held himself together in the weeks after, missing episodes of Britain's Got Talent as guest judges stepped in to cover for him. And just when fans thought Simon had been pushed to his emotional limit, his own body began to betray him. As if personal heartbreak wasn't enough, Simon's own health began spiraling in ways that fans never expected. In 2020, he nearly lost his life in a horrific electric bike crash that left him with a broken back. Doctors said he was lucky to survive. For months, Simon couldn't walk, forcing him to completely rethink the breakneck pace that had defined his career. But the bike accident was only part of the story. Behind the scenes, Simon has battled relentless migraines so severe that they sometimes forced him to skip filming altogether. Viewers noticed him wearing unusual red-tinted glasses, a desperate attempt to block the harsh studio lights that triggered his pain. He even admitted that without them, the headaches were unbearable. And then there were the controversial treatments, vitamin drips, house healers, odd wellness hacks that raised eyebrows but hinted at a man searching for relief wherever he could find it. For someone who once looked untouchable, Simon suddenly appeared vulnerable, fragile, in a way his audience had never seen before. Yet through it all, one thing kept him from giving up completely. Wasn't fame, wasn't fortune, it was family. For most of his career, Simon Cowell was the man audiences loved to hate, cold, ruthless. The judge who never flinched at crushing someone's dream with a single cutting remark. But the birth of his son, Eric, cracked that armor in ways no one saw coming. Simon once admitted that after losing both of his parents, he believed he would never feel that kind of love again. That belief shattered mattered the moment he saw Eric's first scan. From that point forward, the man who once lived for work began living for his child. "I was born to be a dad," Simon confessed in one rare interview. Fans soon noticed the change. The once stone-faced critic was breaking down in tears during emotional performances. When a contestant sang about loss, Simon's mind went straight to his son, and the raw emotion spilled out on live television. For the first time, viewers weren't seeing Simon the judge. They were seeing Simon the father. Behind closed doors, his priorities flipped. The late nights at the office gave way to bike rides, family walks, and quiet evenings with Eric. Even his habits shifted. Eric begged him to quit smoking, and Simon found himself sneaking around like a schoolboy to avoid being caught by his son. It was clear Eric didn't just soften Simon, he saved him. But the world would soon witness just how deeply fatherhood had changed him, in moments so raw and emotional that even Simon himself struggled to hold it together. For years, Simon Cowell was the man who never blinked, no matter how emotional the performance in front of him was. But in recent years, that iron wall has crumbled, and it's all because of fatherhood. One unforgettable moment came during America's Got Talent when contestant Michael Ketterer delivered a heartfelt song about family. The performance shook Simon to his core. With millions watching, his voice cracked, his eyes welled up, and for the first time, fans saw a judge who could barely speak through his tears. Tyra Banks, standing beside him, said what everyone was thinking. "That is one of the most beautiful moments I have ever seen of you." And it wasn't an isolated incident. When Josh Daniel performed Jealous shortly after Simon's mother passed away, Simon broke down completely, unable to mask his grief. More recently, during AGT Season 18, the Mazansi Youth Choir performed Nightbird's It's Okay as a tribute to the late singer. Simon, overwhelmed by the memories, bowed his head as tears streamed down his face. The performance earned a rare golden buzzer, not because of showmanship, but because of the raw emotion in the room. Each of these moments revealed something new. The once unshakable Simon Cowell was now a man visibly moved by loss, love, and the thought of his son's future. For audiences, it was a shocking transformation. For Simon, it was proof that the ruthless judge persona was gone, replaced by someone far more human. And as his emotions spilled out on stage, his priorities offstage were shifting just as dramatically. The Simon Cowell we see today isn't the same man who once obsessed over ratings and record deals. After years of relentless work, health scares, and personal heartbreak, he stepped into a new chapter, one built on family, reflection, and a very different set of priorities. Instead of chasing the next big television hit, Simon now spends his energy on things that bring him peace: long walks with his son, bike rides, time spent on creative projects like Wish Fits, the children's book series he and Eric dreamed up together. For a man once described as a workaholic vampire who thrived on late-night meetings, this softer, slower lifestyle is almost unrecognizable. Even his health choices reflect this shift. Simon has cut back on smoking, taken up reformer Pilates, and embraced a routine that balances work with rest. When he feels overwhelmed, he no longer forces himself through it. Instead, he steps back, knowing that his family deserves a healthier, present version of him. But perhaps the most surprising change is his focus on medical causes. Motivated by his son's struggles, Simon has quietly funded research for children's health charities and advocated for better care for those facing life-limiting conditions. Fame once defined him. Now it seems like his legacy may be shaped by something far more personal. Still, one question remains. After everything he's been through, is Simon ready to walk away from the spotlight completely? Or will he find a way to balance both worlds? For decades, Simon Cowell built an empire on sharp critiques, blockbuster shows, and an image of total control. But behind that mask, his life has been reshaped by heartbreak, health battles, and above all, the love of a son who changed everything. Today, Simon is no longer just the feared judge of Britain's Got Talent. He is a father who admits his son saved him from a dark spiral, a man who now breaks down on stage instead of hiding behind sarcasm, and someone who finally understands that family will outlast fame. Still, fans can't help but wonder, will Simon truly say goodbye to the world that made him famous? Or will he try to balance both television and fatherhood for as long as he can? What's clear is this: Simon's journey has revealed a side of him the world never expected. Vulnerable, human, and perhaps, for the first time, more relatable than ever. So the question now isn't whether Simon Cowell will step away from the spotlight. The real question is, when he does, will it be on his terms or because life forces him to?